Hello everyone, my name is XiaoPing. I'm the Managing Director of XP Education. Now thanks again for subscribing to our YouTube channel. Now today I'm going to present you guys on the notion of Introductory Microeconomics, more specifically on topic 5, which is about market failure, yes? Now whenever we begin with market failure is essentially when we are not producing at the optimal market quantities, which creates some sort of a deadweight loss. Now, within this market failure, we do have what we call a positive externality versus our negative externality, yes? Now, more specifically, with a negative externality, this is when the private marginal cost is going to be smaller than the social marginal cost, or in other words, that the private marginal benefit is more than the social marginal benefit, yes? So that's one particular option. Now, the other side is when we have the positive externality. Now, positive externality comes when the social marginal benefit is greater than our private marginal benefit. Or we can say that our social marginal cost is going to be smaller than the private marginal cost. Okay? Now, as you can see, there are two different types in terms of each scenario in terms of explaining a positive versus a negative externality, yes? Now just remember, how do we exactly draw these graphs? So let me first go through the negative externality first, okay? Okay. So we have the quantity on the x-axis and we have some sort of a dollar value or notional value on the y vertical axis, okay? So assume that our private marginal benefit is equal to our social marginal benefit, yes? Now, because we know that we are trying to talk about this negative externality, yes? This means that the social marginal cost should be higher than the private marginal cost, yes? So we know that the social marginal cost sits above the private marginal cost. Now, whenever the SMC equal to the SMB, this intersection here will be our optimal or social optimal quantity, called this the Q double star, yes? And PMC equal to the private marginal benefit, and this will be our Q star, yes? Now, as you can see, Q star is the current market produced output and is obviously above the social optimal levels, okay? Now, because we are overproducing, this area here is what we call the dead weight loss, okay? Now, whenever there is a dead weight loss, this means that the market is inefficient, and obviously that this area here highlights the fact that it is a negative externality, okay? Now, what is a classical example of a negative externality? You think about as secondhand smoking, yes? Secondhand smoking, yes? Now, the decision for a smoker to take a cigarette now obviously does not consider the cost that is borne to another person in the same room. So, because my decision does not involve the cost that is borne to others, it is often known as the negative externality. Now, let's explore the other side, which is the positive externality, yes? Now, the positive externality is obviously saying that my decision to do something does not include the extra benefits that I can bring to another person, yes, or party, okay? Now, I said already, yes, if we have a positive externality, then we say the social marginal benefit should be more than the private marginal benefit, which means that we are underproducing, yes? So again, whenever we try to characterize these market failures, it is always useful to use a diagram to highlight this, right? Again, we have a dollar value on the vertical axis, and then we have a quantity on the x-axis, yes? Okay, and then we have the social marginal cost is assumed to be equal to the private marginal cost. Now, the social marginal benefit is greater than the private marginal benefit. Now, whenever you guys see the S and the S, yes, so the social and the social, this intersection here is always our Q double star, yes, which is the social optimal level of output. And this quantity here will be our Q star, which is the current traded amount of output, yes, okay. Now, because we have a positive externality, can we see that Q double star is going to be the socially optimal level, but we are currently underproducing, yes? Which means that because we are underproducing, this area here will be our dead weight loss. Now, whenever there is a presence of dead weight loss, there's always going to be some sort of a market failure, yes? Now, how can the government interfere in terms of bringing the market into some sort of an equilibrium? Now, there are two major forms they can do. One is to use a per unit tax, yes? The other is to use a subsidy. And the last one to use is what we call a quota, yes? Or some sort of a production quota. Now, tax is obviously used whenever we have some sort of a negative externality because we want to increase the private marginal cost towards the social marginal cost. Now you can see here, subsidy is required because clearly the private marginal benefit is smaller than the social marginal benefit. So some sort of extra incentives via the subsidy will push the private marginal benefit towards the social marginal benefit, yes? And the third option is often bold because the government just comes in and say, now look, we know exactly where the social optimal quantity is, and this is going to be the quota in the economy, yes? Now obviously there's a lot of flaw coming with the last element because it is actually quite extremely difficult even for the government to exactly knowing what is our Q double star, okay? Now before I finish this quick video, I also want to talk about the differences between a public good and also a private good, yes? Okay, so so now I want to talk about the differences between a public good versus a private good, yes? Now a public good is often things like it is non-excludable. Okay? It is non-excludable, and for a private good, it is definitely going to be excludable, yes, because you can prohibit somebody else's usage, yes. And then the other characteristic is going to be it is non-rivalrous, yes, and this is going to be rivalrous, okay. So one is going to be non-rivalrous, another one is going to be rivalrous, okay. Now, what does it mean by non-excludable and non-rivalrous? Now, if the good is classified as a public good, now you cannot exclude another person from using it. Non-rivalrous means that my usage will not diminish the benefits of another person's usage, okay? Now, a very classical example will be our country's military, yes? So our defense system, right? So first of all, if we are in Australia, you cannot exclude anybody in Australia from benefiting from the protection from a military, and of course, one's usage does not diminish, yes, the usage of the others or the benefits for others using this particular military service because it is there as a public good and it is there to protect the overall society. Now, on the other hand, it is a private good. Now we say that the two characteristics of a private good is that it is excludable and it is also rivalrous. Now which means that in order for the good to be classified as a private good, then it must satisfy both of these conditions. Now excludable means that you can technically exclude somebody from using that, and rivalrous means that my consumption will reduce the benefit of the others from consuming it. Yeah, so an example could be like, you know, Coke or whatever, like food, yes? So food, if it's your food, then you can easily exclude some random guy on the street from eating it, yes? And obviously, if somebody else eats it or if you eat it, then you cannot give that food to another person, yes? So these are the major differences between a public good and a private excludable good. So make sure that you guys understand the differences is that in order to be satisfied as a public good or the private good, both of these characteristics must be satisfied. Now, thanks again for watching our YouTube channel, and please subscribe to our channel because I'll be keep on uploading new videos about topic 6. Now, in topic 6, I will be talking about the perfect competition, and of course, later on, I will be talking about the monopoly market. Now, thanks again, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care for now.